Don't be jealous.
All right, here we are. Kane and Ice coming at you, bam, 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 from the Phantom Network Studios. All right, we're going to be talking NFL playoffs, people. Now, of course, last week was the wild card round. This week, the divisional round. So everybody who's on that bye last week will play this week. Now, let's just review. Of course, last week we had the Texans defeat the Raiders, which we both picked Texans, the home team. Who else played last week? Oh, Seattle beat Detroit. We both picked that game. Correct.
Yep. We had Pittsburgh and
Pittsburgh defeated Miami, right, with Matt Moore. We both picked Pittsburgh. And then there's one game where we've had different picks. Was it Green Bay playing against Odell Beckham and Justin Bieber? I'm sorry, Eli Manning. So I picked the Packers, and someone else who hosts this show, we won't name him, picked the New York Football Giants. So, of course, Packers won, meaning that I got all 4 games correct last week. 100%.
Congratulations. I mean, for the first time in your life, you got 100 on something. I mean, good job. I mean, that was pretty much the most highly contested game of the weekend. The others were, I think, a bigger point spread and kind of a
you had backup quarterbacks, made it a lot easier.
Exactly. So this was the game that a lot of people look towards, and the Giants had their chances early. I mean, they were in the red zone. I want to say, 3 of their first 5 possessions, they were in the red zone and ended up coming away with 2 field goals, including your boy, the old dirty bastard, dropping touchdown passes.
What?
I mean, everybody blamed it on the beach, man. But I think being his first playoff game, being how cold it was, and just the moment, I really think it got to him a little bit, because he dropped some stuff that he normally catches, with ease, including a touchdown, in the corner that was perfectly thrown by Eli. So that got him behind. And by the time they they kind of let Green Bay hang around. And sooner or later, if you let Aaron Rodgers hang around, what's going to happen?
Especially in Green Bay.
Especially in Green Bay.
So, yeah, great point. Because, right, if you score that touchdown, the flow of the game, that changes the dynamics for the rest of the game, right? The flow of the game, the pressure on the other team's offense, everything changes if you're scoring touchdowns there instead of those field goals. We all saw what happened. So let's get to this week. First game, Saturday. Let's see who we got. Gosh, I forgot already.
First game, we got 4:30. We got Seattle at Atlanta. The first game.
Atlanta. Okay. In the ATL, Russell Wilson coming to town. So this should be an exciting game. You got Julio Jones versus the Legion of Boom. I'm interested to see, do they just take Richard Sherman and say you shadow Julio, or
what?
They mixed it up?
Why would you do that? Nobody can cover Julio, and Richard Sherman sure can. He's not fast enough to carry Julio. Probably not.
I know that, and you know that, but does Richard Sherman know that?
Well, he should, because if he's matched up against Julio before, and Seattle scheme isn't Richard Sherman moving with the best receiver. Richard Sherman plays his side no matter who comes to that side, and he usually doesn't move. With that being said, this is the Legion of Boom, so they're pretty solid on defense, as we know. It's an interesting matchup. I mean, you got strength going on strength.
Yeah.
Matt Ryan's been, hot as fish grease this whole season, man.
Right. He's probably the MVP.
Yeah. I mean, he has absolutely been tearing it up this year. Atlanta's running game with Coleman and Freeman has been very, very good. So they've been pretty good this season, supporting Matt Ryan and actually giving the Atlanta offense some balance this year, which has just took them to the next level and made them that much harder to defend. So with that being said, they're going up against, Seattle defense. Now, this ain't Seattle defense from, a few years ago in that Super Bowl run. But they're still, they're still very solid.
And Michael Bennett's having a great year.
Yep, exactly.
For the Legion of Boom to have success, they're going to need that pass rush to make some noise. Because, like you said, nobody can really guard Julio.
Yeah, like I said, and one big thing that, I guess a lot of people aren't talking about is Earl Thomas. Earl Thomas not playing.
Oh,
Earl
yeah,
Thomas,
the injury. A good point.
Yeah. He's not playing. And you talk about the anchor of the defense. Everybody talks about Richard Sherman. No. Earl Thomas is the anchor of that defense. He makes everything go along with Bennett down at linebacker. So
right.
If you take that away from Seattle, going up against this Atlanta offense, like I said, I know it's strength on strength, but I put my money on Atlanta's offense.
Right. Plus they're playing in Atlanta, so the crowd noise
in Atlanta,
the Falcons, right?
Yeah, Atlanta takes it to a new level when they're in Atlanta. I don't know what it is when Atlanta plays in that dome, but they're not the same team when they're on the road as opposed to when they're at home in that dome.
Right.
They just take it to a new level when they're at home and at home games. Crowd will be in a frenzy. I mean, it's it's a playoff game. They're well rested, coming off a week. They're healthy. Atlanta's defense isn't gonna shock the world or anything, but if they get ahead of you and Atlanta gets up on you a couple of points, 10, 14 points, their pass rush isn't bad. They do have some playmakers over there that can play, and Seattle ain't exactly been lighting it up on offense this year. I'm confident that Seattle can move the ball consistently on Atlanta.
So So with all that said, who are you picking?
I'm gonna go with those little blackbirds down in Atlanta. I'm gonna go with Atlanta over Seattle. Yeah, I gotta go to. I don't trust Seattle's offensive weapons enough to keep up with Atlanta's offensive weapons, even though they're going against the Legion of Boom in that defense. I just think Matt Ryan and Julio Jones and Dante Freeman, I just think they're gonna. I won't say have a field day, but they'll make enough plays. They'll win pretty comfortably.
Okay. All right. I could definitely see that happening. But as you know, I picked Seattle early in the season to go to the Super Bowl. So
don't do it.
Stick with Russell Wilson.
Don't do it.
I believe in Russ. And Russ I trust.
Yeah, Russ you trust.
That's gonna be my T-shirt. And Russ I trust. I don't think Seattle's going to just have a smooth game. They're going to find a way to pull it out. Russell Wilson's going to escape from a couple sacks and make some big plays down the field, and that's going to be the difference in this game. So I'm going to go with the Seahawks to pull this one out. I see this game like in the 20s. I see both teams in the 20s. Matt Ryan, with all the success they've had this season, still has not had much postseason success in his career.
True. That's true.
So I'm going to go at Seattle. This is their time of year. And, going Seahawks. You got Falcons. So, all right, let's go on next game. I believe it's New England on Saturday.
Yep, we got New England 8 o'clock
with
the Texans coming to town.
Yeah, I think I would give Houston a better chance if Clowney was the quarterback. But, hey, if Osweiler can play, with timing like he did last week, like once he got the rhythm and got comfortable, he actually seemed to have some anticipation and timing that he didn't have earlier in the season. So if he can play like that, then they have a shot. But if he plays like he did before he got benched for some dude I never heard of, Savage, they don't have a shot. Now, of course, Bill O'Brien is familiar with Tom Brady, and New England have worked there and things like that, and been the offensive coordinator. So, does that play some sort of role in how they defend him? And obviously, Clowney's on fire. What's the other dude? Whitney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Merciless.
He's doing his thing. So, I think they'll be able to get to Tom Brady at least some, and we know Brady's not exactly an escape artist. But can they get to him and, create turnovers? That's another question. But we know also, New England is known for that short, quick passing game too. So
Yeah. That's another thing. I mean, the Texans do have the pass rush advantage here. I mean, like you were saying, with Clowney on one side and Whitley Merciless on the other side, that's a very formidable. I mean, you're talking about a top three rush in the league here. But the Patriots don't give you time to get the rush there. They love this little quick pass, quick slant, quick out, little hitch. They love these little passes where you don't get to touch Tom Brady. And then they love to pound you with, Blunt between the tackles as well. And just when you creep up to stop Blunt, that's when they, hit you deep with a seam pattern to Bennett or, one of those other garbage wide receivers that they got. I've never seen a team in my life with such garbage wide receivers that continually get open, continuously make big plays, continuously do everything they need to do to keep winning. And like you said, with Osweiler, he had a decent game last week. He's still not a world beater. He still hasn't proven that he can play in these big situations. And this is the wrong weekend to try to get off that kind of slide. I mean,
especially in New England.
Yeah, in New England.
Cold. I don't know what the forecast is up there, but I believe it's like possibly lead or something. So Houston obviously with a disadvantage. So I'm going to go at New England for this one.
Really? Oh, that's a stretch.
Hey, well.
Yeah, I'm going to take New England. You got Tom Brady at home. You got Brock Osweiler on the road. New England is, it's damn near impossible to win in New England, especially in the playoffs. I'm that's the easy choice here. We'll take New England.
And Brady's pissed off because of the whole suspension. They're on a mission.
Yeah, he's on a mission. He's definitely on a mission. So, but yeah, this one's pretty easy for me. I would definitely ride with New England on this one.
All right. So let's just take a quick moment. I want to tell you guys about our new friends season. It's a new card game that's coming out. This is actually invented by a Winthrop University graduate. Shout out to Pierre Wooten. All right. Season, I want all you to go to playseasons.com. That's play, like playing outside or playing cards. Playseasons.com. Check it out. It's a family card game. All right. You're going to learn a lot. It's awesome for 7 and up. So pick it up for your friends, family, and, pick up a box for yourself. Go to playseason.com. All right. And they're also on social media at Play Seasons. So let them know you heard about it here on the Kane and Ice Show. All right. So let's get back to it. Let's go to Sunday. Of course, big games, right? Saturday,
big games.
2 conference championship games. You want to talk AFC first? Of course, you got Pittsburgh.
Yep, let's take that.
All right. So Pittsburgh is taking on Kansas City. Andy Reid, our old friend, hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers. This could be a very interesting game, especially now that Kansas City seems to have a little more explosion on their offense than they've had in the past week. But the 3 Bs, the killer bees of Pittsburgh are all together finally. And we saw what they did last week, especially that first week.
Boy, yeah, last week they was on it. Of course, this ain't Kansas City. I mean, last week you wasn't in Kansas City.
True.
And you wasn't going up against this Chiefs defense either. Last week, the Dolphins defense is, okay, they're middle of the road. But Dolphins just don't have the offensive weapons to keep up with the Steelers. So, that's the reason they lost.
Let's be honest, the weather's probably a factor. Because at the beginning of the game, I think they said with the wind chill, it felt like 1 degree.
Yeah, I mean,
Miami. I mean, even my wife, who watches no football, knows nothing about football. When she saw that, the temperature, and she was like, "Oh, where are they playing?" I said, "Pittsburgh." She said, "Who are they playing?" I said, "Miami." She said, "Oh, Miami's going to lose." I said, because it's 1 degree and they're not used to that. Well, that's a good point. And of course, they spent that first quarter looking like they're not used to that.
Yeah, I mean that's a shock to your body. Some people can go out there and just play in it, but when you play 16 games a year and 10 of your games you've been in domes or either sunshine pretty much the whole day. It's tough to adjust. Now, a lot of these players have played in cold games, college and high school, what need be. So it shouldn't be a major factor, but it is. It's something to behold, especially if you're on the road in it. If you're at home and used to it, it's something different. But on the road, it's something different. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, especially I'm sure if they spent 5 days of the week in Miami, the day before the game, they fly to Pittsburgh. Your body hadn't adjusted in that 24-hour period, not totally. It's not like being there and practicing in it all week,
Yeah, like I said, it really didn't matter anyway. I thought Pittsburgh was going to win the game. Even it was 50 degrees, Pittsburgh was still going to win that game because they were just a better team than Miami. Now, this week, I don't know. I'm at a crossroads on this game, man. I mean, on one hand, the Chiefs have the defense. I really believe in their defense that they can – I'm not saying stop Pittsburgh, but they can slow down Pittsburgh enough. The one thing that still worries me about the Chiefs is the same thing that worries me about the Chiefs the whole season, Alex Smith. I just don't trust Alex Smith to lead a team to a long playoff run, a Super Bowl,
how many checkdowns can you take, right?
Yeah, how many checkdowns can you get? I mean, but, with the emergence of the Hill kid, Tyreek Hill, the Chiefs have become a really explosive team now. So if you take that to effect, I mean, you still have Macklin on the outside. Jason Kelsey's been on fire in the second half of the season. First half of the season, he didn't do squat because he was on my fantasy team. Thanks, Kelsey. Appreciate that. But, second half of the season, he's been on fire. Their running game with West and what's the other guy's name? You got Kendrick West, and then you've got can't think of the guy's name now. But they go the dual running backs in the backfield. They're good enough. They're not great, but they're good enough to keep them in games and run the ball and move the ball. So it comes down to Alex Smith again. I mean, who do you trust, Big Ben or Alex Smith?
Yeah, I'm gonna go at the rings and take Big Ben. Obviously, especially with, it seems like Brown. Just with the plays he was making last week, is rolling into form. Bell, I think, is hungry, especially considering he doesn't have as much wear and tear on him this year because he, missed some games early in the season. And I think this is his first time in the playoffs, right? Or at least
who's that?
For Bell.
Yep, last week.
Hurt,
yeah,
right?
yeah, that was his first playoff game last week, and he proceeded to tear the place up. I mean, he had a great game. So,
and not expecting to match that, but I just don't know if Kansas City is going to keep up. And I really think when it gets down to crunch time, Alex Smith will do what he's comfortable with, which is check down, check down, check down.
They might have a surprise. Andy Reid likes to throw a curveball every once in a while, especially in these kind of situations where he knows he needs to come up with something to get over the hump or get around the corner on another team. So, a lot of people give Mike Tomlin, hell, but I really give Andy Reid the coaching edge in this situation.
Terry Bradshaw would agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, Terry Bradshaw probably would, but, he can't spell cat if you gave him the C and the A too. So.
All right. So you're going with Kansas City?
I'm gonna take Kansas City at home, man.
I got you.
I don't believe in Pittsburgh's defense, and even as Kansas City's offense is, check down here, check down there. I think just they'll wear them down with the home crowd, the advantage at the home, and I think they'll wear them down at the
All
end.
right. So we got one more game. The Green Bay Packers and Aaron Badman Rodgers going out to Big D in Jerry's World, take on Zeke and Dak. Oh yeah, and they got this guy named Dez too that everybody seems to forget about. The Dallas Cowboys. How about them? We them boys against the Cheeseheads. potentially be exciting matchup. You know, obviously, Cowboys #1 seed. Packers been on fire lately, so I'm interested to see what happens. I'm interested to see if Dallas can just regain form because Dallas, despite being #1 seed, and I think most people, even Cowboy fans, agree with me here, they're not a dominant team. They have a great recipe or great formula, and they're able to replicate that formula most of the time. But, across the board, their players, especially like on defense, is not dominating anybody. The defensive line is not dominating offensive lines. But they've been able to keep the defense off the field. But, of course, they ended the season losing to us, Eagles. Shout out to the Eagles. So it's basically been 3 weeks since they've went out and actually played a whole game with their team, with their whole team, whole squad, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, they're limping into the playoffs, no doubt. I mean, you lost to the Eagles. Of course, you didn't play all your starters. The week before that, you lose to the Giants. I mean, a couple of weeks before that, you lose to the Giants.
Right.
At home. So now you've got a week off. So you really haven't played a competitive game in 2.5, 3 weeks. You haven't given your all in 2.5, 3 weeks. Now, with that said, everybody should be well rested. So injuries, rest shouldn't be the problem. The thing you worry about now is what are rookies going to do in their first playoff game when the lights are really, really bright. Like you said, the Cowboys haven't been dominant. They're not just beating people down. Like you said, they've got a great formula that's working. Run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, short control passing game, and every once in a while hit you with a play action, medium range pass. I don't really see Dak going a whole lot deep a lot either. So they got a great formula on that. That defense, their pass rush is situational. It seems they get it when they know the other team's about to pass. Dallas's pass rush is okay.
Right.
During the normal course of the game, that pass rush isn't that great. And that's showing by the Eagles. The Giants play competitively against them. The Redskins. I mean, all of these teams that are pretty much
beat them twice.
Yeah, all these teams that are supposedly average were able to move the ball on Dallas. They just couldn't execute at the end to win the game, except for the Giants twice. So going back to Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers is on fire right now. I mean, this man can do no wrong.
Even Cobb is stepping up, which seemed like he disappeared for a couple seasons there.
Yeah.
If Cobb gets back on track, and you still got Jordy Nelson, obviously they can be really dangerous. And I just don't see Dallas as having the defense to slow them down.
That's the funny thing, though. Green Bay's weapons seem to disappear sometimes in some big games. Cobb, they don't have a running game. Hell, they're down to the fourth running back and a wide receiver playing running back.
Yeah.
So the running game is pretty non-existent. The one thing you don't want to be against Dallas is one-dimensional because that is the strength of that team, the pass rush and, getting after the quarterback. But this said again, you're going against the bad man. And if you watched that game last week from about that middle of the second quarter when he first got started, and that dude looked like, man, he could do no wrong back there in the pocket.
Yeah.
I think we're in for a shootout. I really think we're in for a shootout.
Entertaining.
Defense isn't that great, and you can't stop Aaron Rodgers.
Good way to end the weekend.
Yeah, I really think we're in for a shootout on this one.
All right.
Should be interesting.
Who you got?
I'm gonna reluctantly pick the Cowboys. Just because.
Okay.
Because their offense is balanced. Green Bay's offense isn't balanced, and that's going to cost them at some point in the game. Dallas has a better defense in Green Bay as well. Plus, they're at home. So now, trust me, you're talking to an Eagle fan. I'd like nothing more than to see Dak and Zach choke in the playoffs and just completely blow it. But me thinking a balanced offense, a balanced defense against a offense with a inferior defense in Green Bay. That although they stepped up last week, they played pretty good last week, but they're at home. It's different when you're on the road in the playoffs. So I'm gonna give the nod to Dallas this week, and hopefully I'm wrong on that pick.
All right, so you got the Falcons and the Cowboys in the NFC Championship. Man,
yep, that's your 1 and 2 seed.
Like just knowing you and like your interpersonal relationships and the teams these people root for. This is like the worst case scenario for you.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, who would you root for to lose? I know one person that tells me I better root for the Falcons or else.
Good point.
But I'm gonna be a man. I'm a man.
That's right.
I'm gonna pull for neither one of them. That's what
I'm pulling for the AFC. How about that? All right. Well, I'm going to have to go against you. I think Aaron Rodgers is too good right now. I think Cowboys will not be able to match up with the wide receivers, and I think they'll be able to make enough plays downfield to win this game. And I don't think – I mean, I never played in Dallas, but the way Dallas Stadium set up and everything, I don't think it's the traditional home field advantage most teams have.
Yeah, you're right on that.
Dak has shown that if you can get to him, he'll start throwing that ball kind of high. So I'm expecting some blitzing. Look for Julius Peppers to kind of turn back the clock a little bit. So I'm going with Green Bay. Beat Dallas and make it to the NFC Championship. So anyway, thanks everybody for watching. Make sure you go to caneice.com, but also click the like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, okay? So you can see we have videos, coming at you 2, 3, 4 a week. So make sure you check them out and enjoy the playoffs. Hey, until next time, thanks, everybody.
Peace. Have a good weekend.